Hey guys, Bon here. Welcome to my 11.0.5 Elemental Shaman Survival Guide. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to Earthshrine Discord for all their work and knowledge. Helps us tremendously. Thanks to a few close friends that also help with builds and rotations. You guys know who you are. Dump, Seaword, Wiki. Appreciate all the help. Please note that this guide may be subject to change as Blizzard does more class tuning, and believe me, we are very strong right now. So hopefully they don't tune us too horribly bad. The talents and rotations I'm going to show you are things that I've been doing in raid and keys and have been yielding me very good results. They may not be 100% accurate as things change constantly, especially with tuning around the corner again. I'm going to show you raid and mythic plus builds. We're going to cover stats, crafting, gear, and embellishments and enchants. We're also going to do an overview on how to DPS and cleave in single target both in mythic plus and in raid. So let's get this started. This is the new talent tree. As you can see, some talents are gone. The tree has been reworked. Skybreakers is no more. Flash of Lightning CDR is no more, which is a significant hit to us. More specifically, I don't like that we have less defensive uptime. It makes us a little bit more squishier. We've gained Herald of the Storms, and the position of these talents has moved. Earth Shatter, Erupting Lava, which is horrible. Don't play this unless they tune it. Charge Conduit, which is amazing for AoE. I'm loving this talent. It allows you to spread Lightning Rod to more targets and make it more of a skill thing to maintain. Also, Ascendance has been completely redesigned and it feels like a god to play. You feel crazy powerful when you hit this button, but not only that, after you don't have it and you proc deeply rooted elements, you also feel extremely powerful. Farseer is completely dead right now for the hero tree, so we're going to be focusing on Stormbringer. Stormbringer will be used for single target and AoE for raid and in keys. You have a new move speed talent here. Ignore Lightning Conduit as we're not going to be using that. We're going to be using Electroshock. After you Tempest, you gain 20% move speed for 5 seconds, which is great for repositioning your Elemental Shaman, as now Arc Discharge works on single target or AoE. After you Tempest, you'll be able to have 2 free Chain Lightnings or Lightning Bolts, which means we'll be moving very fast and can use those 2 free globals to reposition freely. We've gained Nature's Protection, which will always be taken, 3% reduced damage with Lightning Shield. Surging Currents is still not good enough to use, so we can ignore this. Storm Swell is a choice node here, which we're also not currently using, so we can ignore this. We might in the future, depending on tuning, who knows. We will be taking Supercharge for Stormbringer. The left side of our tree is whatever you need on a dungeon basis. The mandatory talents here are Frost Shock, Fire and Ice, 3% extra damage there. Stone Bulwark Totem, I would say it's mandatory as we need this to survive. Nature Swiftness, and Enhance Imbues if you're running builds with Thunderstrike Ward, as this affects Thunderstrike Wards. So what stats are we looking for? Well, Mastery is our best stat now. After that, it's Haste equals Crit, but more Haste is recommended. Ideally, once you have your full best in slot, we are shooting for 18,000 Mastery, 12,000 Haste, and 10,000 Crit. This changes to our off-piece tier. So our best in slot is now chest, and you can get the chest that I'm wearing from either your vault mythic or the second boss in the raid. For trinkets, your best in slot is Spymasters and Sack Brood. If you don't have a Sack Brood or have a mythic empowering crystal from Dawnbreaker, that is also this. The 2 trinkets behind those are Gale of Shadows and Unbound Changeling. Although I do not recommend Gale of Shadows because some of our AoE Mythic Plus builds do not incorporate Flame Shock into our AoE, so it's very hard to maintain our 20 stacks for this trinket. For crafting, you should always be simming yourselves, but we will be recrafting most of our gear or all of it to Mastery Haste or Mastery Crit depending on what you need. Most of us will be perfectly fine with Mastery Haste recrafts. For embellishments, I recommend Ascendance with 2 times Nerubian Enchant. I don't think Vivacity is the play anymore, as we did lose some value in Verse. Verse is our worst stat. If you cannot have Ascendance 2 times Nerubian, 2 times Dawn Threat Crit Lightning is also a good option. Weapon Enchants will be Authority of the Depths for single target, so raid, and Radiant Power for AoE, which is Mythic Plus. Flask of Alchemical Chaos will be used in all scenarios. It is possible if you're very low on Mastery that a Mastery Flask is also good for you, but I will be using Chaos for everything. Algari Mana Oil will always be used. Tempered Potion, of course, in food, and Crystallized Augment Runes. Enchant your chests with Crystalline Radiance. Enchant your legs with Sunset Spell Thread. Cloak and Bracers with the Leech or Avoidance. And boots with Stam or Move Speed. I prefer Move Speed. Rings will be Radiant Mastery or Haste or Crit depending on what you need and what you sim for. In my situation, Mastery seems to be performing better for me. And your gems will be a Crit Blasphemite gem, and try to proc it by using Haste Mastery gems, Mastery Haste gems, Verse Mastery or Verse Haste gems depending on what you need, and Crit Mastery, Crit Haste gems. You want to use one color of each gem. Let's talk about builds and rotations. I'm going to cover 2 builds for Mythic Plus and 1 build for Raid. For each build, I'll start with the talents and then walk through the openers and rotations for AoE and single target. The strings to these talents will be pasted in the description below, and you can also find them in my Discord. Let's cover the first Mythic Plus build, the Echoes of Great Sundering build. As you can see, this build has no PWave, no Magma Totem, but it does have Echoes of Great Sundering, which means in AoE, you will be alternating Earth Shock and then Earthquake, because after you Earth Shock, your next Quake is buffed. That will be your AoE rotation. Should you use Earthquake single target if it is buffed with Echoes? The answer is yes, it is a small gain, but it is not worth it if it's a boss that's going to move. In those situations, just keep sending Earth Shocks single target. Let's cover the AoE rotation for this build. So let's assume this is a Mythic Plus build where your tank is gathering the first set of mobs. Ideally, you're running with your tank. You're going to Flame Shock one of the mobs as he gathers. Once he's done gathering all the mobs and you're about to begin your rotation, you're going to open with Storm Ellie into Stormkeeper. By then you'll have 3 charges of Stormkeeper because your Rolling Thunder would have procced in combat. You're going to go into an immediate Ascendance, and your first globals are going to be Earth Shock. If you have enough Maelstrom to Earth Shock, then use a Chain Lightning Stormkeeper into an Empowered Earthquake, and you alternate those, which would be next charge of Chain Lightning into an Earth Shock, into your next charge of Chain Lightning, into an Earthquake. And if you proc Tempest, you're going to want to Tempest a target without Lightning Rod. Now you're doing the same thing for your Earth Shocks. In an ideal scenario, you're going to be Earth Shocking mobs without Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod is applied by Tempest, Earth Shock, and Earthquake. So let's see what this looks like. So the tank is gathering. You're going to Flame Shock a mob. He's going to get in combat. He's going to stop right here. You're going to Storm Ellie, cast Stormkeeper, Lust Potion Ascend. Earth Shock, Quake because you're Aftershock proc. Chain Lightning, Earth Shock,
Tempest,
Chain Lightning, Tempest, Chain Lightning Quake because it's empowered. Chain Lightning spam, Earth Shock a mob here. Tempest this mob, no Lightning Rod. Spam Chain Lightning, Empowered Quake, spam Chain Lightning. Earth Shock the non-Lightning Rod targeted. Spam Chain Lightning, Quake empowered. You're going to use your Tempest on a mob without Lightning Rod again. And this is exactly what you're doing, just your AoE rotation. Just juggling all your Lightning Rods while casting these abilities you see down here. The next thing we're going to cover with this build is the single target rotation. The single target is not as complicated as people think. Let's pretend this is the boss. You're going to want to open with Storm Ellie, Stormkeeper, into an Ascend, Bloodlust, and we are using Lavaburst once again. You will be casting Lavaburst to empower your other spells. You want a Lavaburst to empower your Earth Shock first, Lavaburst to empower your Stormkeeper Lightning Bolts next, and then Lavaburst to empower your Tempest next. And your fillers will be Lightning Bolt, and once you have nothing else to empower, you're going to want to Icefury, After casting Ice Fury, you're not going to use the Frost Shocks unless you have to reposition. You only want to use the Ice Fury and then proc the Fusion of Elements with either A, refreshing your Flame Shock, or B, casting a Lavaburst into a nature spell. And again, that goes back to Lavaburst Earth Shock, Lavaburst Tempest, Lavaburst Lightning Bolt, even Lavaburst Quake works as well. So let's see what this looks like in a single target scenario. As your tank pulls a boss, you're going to Stormkeeper, Storm Ellie, Ascend, Lavaburst Earth Shock,
Tempest,
Lavaburst Earth Shock, Lavaburst Earth Shock, Lavaburst Earth Shock. Use your Stormkeeper charges and Tempest before they run out. Then you're going to want a Lavaburst Earth Shock and fill your Lightning Bolt. You're going to use your Lavaburst charge to Earth Shock again. Then you're going to refresh your Flame Shock manually and then Lavaburst Earth Shock and fill with Lightning Bolt. Now that you have Ice Fury, we're going to use our Ice Fury once, Lavaburst Earth Shock to proc that fusion. In that case, we didn't have enough, so we Lavaburst Lightning Bolt, and then we go back to Lavaburst Earth Shock. Now we have another Ice Fury. We're going to use that, but we're going to proc the fusion with Flame Shock this time. As you can see, the fusion go out, and then back to Lavaburst Earth Shock, Lavaburst Earth Shock again, and then send your Tempest and Stormkeeper charges. You got another Ice Fury, so you're going to Ice Fury, Lavaburst Earth Shock, send your Stormkeeper on cooldown, refresh your Flame Shock. Again, Lavaburst Earth Shock has yielded me the best results. Lavaburst Tempest here, because we don't have enough for Earth Shock. Lavaburst Earth Shock. And you get the general idea, right? You're not using these Frost Shocks unless you have to move to reposition and have nothing else, then you're casting that Frost Shock. But that's the general single target rotation. The next build for Mythic Plus that I would like to cover is called the Mythic Plus Smooth Brain build. Now this build is basically the Echoes build, except you move the point of Echoes if you don't like keeping track of Earthshock Quake, Earthshock Quake. You can take the Echoes point out and just move it up here to Everlasting Elements, and your AoE rotation remains the same, except you're not Earthshocking before quaking. You're just going to Chain Lightning Quake, Chain Lightning Quake, Chain Lightning Tempest, Chain Lightning Quake. It's much easier. You can turn off your brain, and this might be a good recommendation for players that are new to Ellie or just want to get in keys quick and start blasting. So what does the Smooth Brain AoE rotation look like? I'm glad you asked. So same thing. You're going to open with Flame Shock as your tank is gathering. You're going to drop your Storm Ellie into Stormkeeper. You're going to Ascend, and usually that's enough to instantly drop an Earthquake. It will be in instances, as Ascendance will dot 6 targets, but currently on dummies it does not function that way. So we will follow it up with a Chain Lightning into Quakes, into Chain Lightning into Quakes, and whenever you proc Tempest, you're going to prile Tempest on a dummy that either has no Lightning Rod or low timer remaining on that Lightning Rod, so you can optimize Lightning Rod damage. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So tank gathers, Flame Shock, Ellie, Stormkeeper, Ascendance, Chain Quake,
Tempest,
Chain Quake, Tempest this mob, use your arc discharge charges, Quake, Chain Quake, Tempest a low target Lightning Rod, and all you're doing is spamming Chain Quakes while Tempesting low Lightning Rods and trying not to overcap on Maelstrom, which you will sometimes.
Tempest.
And that's kind of what your AoE rotation is going to look like. How does the Smooth Brain single target rotation look like? So it's going to look very similar to the Echoes of Great Sundering rotation. In Echoes, you're technically supposed to send Earthquake single target only if the boss or target is not going to move, but I usually don't end up doing that because bosses tend to move and tanks tend to move them a lot, so you would waste damage. For the Smooth Brain, you don't have to worry about that. The rotation is going to look very similar. You're going to drop your Storm Ellie Stormkeeper Lust CDs into Ascendance,
Ascend,
lavaburst Earthshock, lavaburst Lightning SK charges, lavaburst Earthshock. Use your fusion into Lightning Bolt fillers, lavaburst Earthshock to a proc fusion,
Tempest.
lavaburst Tempest. Use your Tempest Arc
Tempest.
Discharge, lavaburst Earthshock, fusion, proc it with proc it with Flame Shock, and then back to your lavaburst Earthshock. Here's another fusion proc, and you're gonna proc that one with lavaburst Earthshock. And your fillers just Lightning Bolt. Here you get a proc, you use that for your Earthshock.
Tempest.
Here we can do it again, and then we're going to Tempest into your 2 free Arc Discharge. Definitely refresh your Flame Shock. And that is the single target rotation.
Tempest.
The next build we're going to be covering is the single target raid build with PWave. And this build is one that is commonly being used on elemental logs right now. There is one option that you can change, is Earthshock or Ele Blast. I believe this is a preference at this point. Ele Blast is a small gain if you play perfectly, and if you have the time spirals in your raid needed to help you with the movement. Because Ele Blast is harder to play. You cannot really have any downtime. When you have that Ele Blast, you gotta send it. I prefer to use Earthshock on fights that are easier single target, such as Mythic Sikran. You can opt for Ele Blast if you want, but we're going to be covering the Earthshock, which seems to be a commonly used one on fights like Mythic Iveza. So how does this build work in a single target scenario? So say this is a boss and you have a countdown timer. At 2 seconds, I like to open with Stormkeeper Storm Ele. And as the boss is being pulled, we open with PWave, Ascendance, go into your Lavaburst Earthshock, use your Stormkeeper charges, and then back to Lavaburst Earthshock, Lavaburst Tempest. After you Tempest, make sure you use your Arc Discharge charges. And let's go ahead and see how that looks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ascend,
Lavaburst Earthshock, Lavaburst Earthshock, Lavaburst Earthshock. Spend your Stormkeeper charges before they're going to time out. Lavaburst Earthshock,
Tempest.
Earthshock, Tempest, use your discharge charges. Lavaburst Earthshock, use an Icefury. Proc that with Lavaburst Earthshock, Icefury again. Proc that with Lavaburst Earthshock, Lavaburst Earthshock, and
Tempest.
then Earthshock again, you're dumping Maelstrom. Tempest, use your charges. P-Wave is back, use that on CD with Lavaburst Earthshock, Icefury. Proc that with Lavaburst Earthshock. Fill with Lightning Bolt. And you're just Lavaburst Earthshocking. And again, you only use your Frost Shock charges if you're going to be moving and don't have anything else to press. And that is your single target rotation for this build. Let's quickly cover some frequently asked questions. Number 1, do I Echoes of Great Sundering in single target? Short answer is yes, it is a small gain, but only if the target is going to remain in the quake for the full duration. Tanks have a tendency of constantly moving bosses, or bosses move on their own for whatever reason, so I recommend not using Echoes in single target. Number 2, for Echoes, do I alternate ES Quake in AoE? Absolutely, yes. That's the point of this talent here, Echoes of Great Sundering. You should be doing that. And again, in single target, it's up to you whether you think the boss or the target is going to sit in that Earthquake for full duration. Do we Lava Burst in AoE? Currently, I am not doing that. I am currently only sending Chain Lightning, Quakes, and Tempests, and Echoes with Earthshock if talented into that. Do we Lava Burst single target? I'm currently using most of my Lava Burst charges to priority buff Earthshock, Stormkeeper charges, Tempest, and Lightning Bolts in that order. It feels good to me. I see the sim using Lava Burst a lot. It does decent damage. You may disagree with this and spam Lightning Bolt if you want. Things are always subject to change. What I've been doing has been yielding me great results. When do I Icefury? I've been sending Icefury on 1 to 3 targets, but no Frost Shocks unless you need it for some movement. After you Icefury, you want to follow it up with a Lava Burst into a Nature spell. So a lavaburst earth shock, a lavaburst quake, a lavaburst chain, depending on the amount of targets. What's wrong with Ascendance? Ascendance currently doesn't flame shock all target dummies. It wasn't working as of October 23rd on flame shocking 6 targets either when you ascend, as it's supposed to. I zoned in to an instance today, this morning on October 24th after maintenance, and zoned into the Rookery and pulled 6 mobs. Ascendance and flame shock went on all 6 of them. So I believe it is currently working again. Or not again, but it's not working, which is amazing for us. How do we use Spymasters? In single target, we're using Spymasters every other Ascendance. So at the start of a pool, you ascend, no Spymasters. When your second Ascendance comes up, you Spymasters with that, and always save your Storm Elemental to line it up with Ascendance. Very critical. Where can I get your UI? My Discord has all my add-ons and weak orders linked in the description below. I'm also going to upload a UI video since I get that request a lot from some people. Please note that things are always subject to change. Blizzard has already nerfed us as of October 23rd. Lightning rod damage has been cut in half, but it does not seem to affect current builds and rotations. More tuning is probably coming in the future, as our AoE with Ascendance specifically is still quite amazing, but we are hoping that we are left alone. If you like this video and you want to see more, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, head on over to my Twitch channel at BondBL. I'm usually streaming on a daily basis. Take care, everyone.